Hazing at New Mexico colleges and universities. During our 30-minute Target 7 special investigation, Hazed Fear and Failure, we told you how New Mexico is one of just a few states where hazing is not a crime.
And now we're hearing directly from the governor on this issue, as well as from state lawmakers who tried to pass laws addressing hazing. Here's Target 7's John Cardinelli.
These New Mexico state lawmakers both experienced hazing in school.
A good portion of high school, I was on the receiving end of hazing. Thank God it was nothing too bad.
I've even seen outrageous things to where seniors would grab the freshmen and they used to call them swirlies. They would grab them and dunk them in a toilet.
The NMSU men's basketball team had to shut down its 2022-23 season because of allegations of hazing. 3 players were criminally charged.
Did New Mexico State having to shut down their basketball season because of hazing allegations shed a serious light on the problem?
I mean, it was on ESPN and highlighted nationally, so definitely highlighted the issue.
But the incident also highlighted an issue with state law. New Mexico is one of 6 states where hazing is not a crime. The reason these players were charged is because the hazing escalated to the criminal level. This past legislative session, 3 bipartisan bills were proposed to make hazing a crime. One carried by Republican State Representative Joshua Hernandez.
Yes, the bill that we ultimately came and brought to introduced had several different criminal aspects, new crimes to it.
Another was SB 55, carried by Democratic State Senator Harold Pope.
The hazing would involve someone who is involved in the hazing that is not really causing severe damage or harm to a person would only receive a misdemeanor, but also those that knew about it.
But no legislation focused on making hazing a crime passed.
Why didn't the act pass?
When we say no hazing, people think, well, you're not allowing folks to have fun. You're now allowing coaches to maybe do what they need to do as far as it being a coach, and that's not what this is. So I think we have to have a culture change and actually educate folks on what we're talking about when we say hazing.
Last week, Target 7 sat down with Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham and talked about our special investigation.
And I thank you for doing that work.
We asked if hazing legislation would be a part of her special session.
It won't be part of the call, but it is a very important tool that we need to spend some time on.
New Mexico is one of 6 states that does not have a law making hazing a crime. Is it time that we adopt such a law?
I think it is. We have other laws that can get to these issues, but look, we have a clear problem in New Mexico at our universities and beyond. And as you know, a bill was crafted, introduced, didn't quite make it. I think that New Mexicans should expect to see very substantive measures, making sure that the penalties meet the crime and that we're preventing these and holding universities and bad actors accountable.
For Target 7, I'm John Cardinelli.
If you have tips for Target 7, call the Target 7 tip line at 505-884-6347, or you can always email newstips@kyt.com.